Honestly, I never thought in a million years I could be the What's Your Dream brand. Do keep in mind, we get more views than the BBC. Hello, welcome to the first ever episode of What's the Trick? My name is Ben Hanlin. I'm a magician. I'm your host. And our first ever guest is entrepreneur Simon Squibb. But before we dive into the episode, let me tell you about this podcast. This has been in my head, no joke, for about 2 years. And the goal of this podcast is, I was thinking, there's lots of podcasts out there where people talk about life stories and what they're about, etc. I wanted to create a podcast that just focuses on the creative process. I wanted to sit down with the most creative people in the world and try and understand how the hell they do what they do. How does it go from an idea on a blank piece of paper to then turning into reality? And throughout this series, we're going to talk to so many different types of people. We're going to talk to authors, comedians, some entrepreneurs, some TikTokers, musicians, magicians, all sorts. So, and the idea is to find out, are there things we can take from what they're doing, and can I use it to inspire me to be more creative? And in turn, hopefully you'll enjoy that as well, especially also if there's people that you've really liked and you get to hear a different side to them and hear how they're thinking. So that's the point of this show. I've waffled long enough. Oh, by the way, I should also tell you, we are recording these for video purposes. So if you want to go ahead and watch this on YouTube, you can see my lovely face and the guests, or you can carry on listening the way you are. Right. So let's talk about episode 1, guest 1, Simon Squibb. So today's guest, he's an entrepreneur and a creator with over 15 million followers and billions of views online. A quick summary about Simon. He's been very open and honest about this. His journey started, he was 15, he was homeless, and that experience really lit a fire under him to become independent. He then built and sold multiple businesses, including a company called Fluid, which got acquired by PwC in 2016. And now he's often best known for his social media content, where he goes up to strangers and he asks them, what's your dream? That's right, you've probably heard this, you've probably seen this. And these videos have gotten viral, and off the back of this, he's had huge success across all different socials. And also, he's on this mission to make entrepreneurship totally accessible to everyone, hence why he's doing all this and doing it all over social media. He's also a #1 Sunday Times bestseller with also the book, What's Your Dream? But before we dive in, why did I want to speak to him? Because I've been following his content for years. And from a content creator point of view, he's one of the most followed creators in the world. He's making more videos than almost anyone. And I've got no idea how he's doing it. So I really wanted to sit down with him and figure out and pick his brains and find out how he actually does it from a day to day. The team he's got behind him. Also, where did that tagline, where did it all come from? What's your dream? And also, how can he balance running multiple businesses with also being a full-time content creator? All of that stuff, his general views about creativity. And we're going to dive in. And this just shows how prolific he is. He started the episode by going live on both TikTok and Instagram. So he doesn't miss a trick. Every minute he's creating content somewhere, which is where we're going to start. Hope you enjoy, and I'll speak to you at the end. Thank you. So I go live because I think the future of everything is community. And so I think right now on my live, I've got 1,000 people on Instagram and climbing quick 538 people on TikTok. And so, they're my core fans, and I want them to get a behind the scenes of what it's like to build a business, what it's like to help people build businesses. I want total transparency. I think that's the future of business, and, transparency and community, connection. And so now, thanks to technology, we're always complaining about like what we don't have and not really realizing just how exciting a time it is that you can just press a button on your phone and have thousands of people joining you in your business, in your dream. And so, yeah, I'm doing a podcast with you today, and I'm like, why can't people hear it before you release it? Why can't people who are big fans and big supporters get a little, behind the scenes of what it's like to build a business? Yeah, and with you going, just simple numbers. How often do you go live? A day, a week? Is it constant? Every day, pretty much, unless I'm sick or I'm looking after my child and I want to focus on that. Normally, I go
at least an hour. Today I will be live for 6 hours. I'm
Wow.
living my whole day from now until my last call at 6 o'clock today. So all day I'll be live. When I go out and in the streets and ask people their dreams, I've done live streams 9, 10 hours long, so people can see. I met these people randomly. It wasn't set up. People see everything. So there are a lot of people like, oh, it's all set up. It's not real. And I will go watch the live and you'll see that we did a video last week where someone got 18 million views on the video. I literally walked into them in the street. So I never met them. I didn't know them. So it's a good way of just kind of like also quieting down your haters or the people that don't believe you're doing good. They can see it all from behind the scenes, you know?
And with that going live, do you think it's massively underrated? Because I don't go live, if I'm honest, but I know people like you. Are you seeing that it's really helping from a content point of view?
I think it's underrated, but a lot of people are using it. I think like anything, it's just another channel, right? So some people just focus all on LinkedIn or they just focus all on TikTok. And some people just focus on, going live.
Yeah.
I think everything has its strength and weakness. The downside to live is everything that people are listening on live to now generally is just the people listening now. So it's not like if I make a video and I post it, it's there forever. People can listen to it forever. But live is very in the moment. The other downside to live is that you generally have to personally do it. I will have to be on the live all day, today to make the live interesting for my hardcore fans that take the time to go on the live, right? So it's effort. For some people, live won't work. I'm sure like for a magician, for example, going live might be a problem because people will see you practicing how you do your trick.
No, it's good. Right, I'm conscious. I've got so much I want to ask you about today. So let's start from. I'm not going to go all the way back in your career. We're going to start, I think, about 2019 TikTok, and you've talked about this a lot. So we I think people have heard this story. But you joined TikTok. Let's go from there. Just give us the quick snapshot. What were you doing around that time? Because obviously you were, back in the UK. What made you go, I'm going to pick up my phone, let's get going, and let's start making entrepreneurial content? Let's start there.
Yeah, so I had sold my company, a company called Fluid, to PricewaterhouseCoopers. It was based out of Hong Kong. And so I sold the company in 2017. I was kind of free. Had a baby. I actually moved back from Hong Kong to England and then spent the first 2 years of my son's life just being a present father. And I loved it. But after about 6 months, a year in, I started to feel like I'd worked my whole life. From the age of 15, I started working. I really felt like something was missing from my life, even though I had this amazing new little boy in my life. I was thinking, I've got all this knowledge. I've managed to make it. I had nothing when I started. I've got to put the ladder down. I've got to help other people learn what I've learned. And then I started going on TikTok. It was a bit, everyone was talking about TikTok and, the rise of TikTok. And people, young people were dancing on it and going viral. And I, as a marketing person, I was just interested. So a combination of my marketing interest and then me wanting to give back, I went on TikTok really just to play around with it. And the first few videos, which I've never deleted, by the way, the first few videos, I kept them up. Of me at the zoo with my son, just playing around with the filters and music and just, learning how this new marketing tool worked. And what I noticed doom scrolling through TikTok was a lot of fake gurus, a lot of people talking about drop shipping, talking about how to get rich. And I just saw through it. I was like, this is just total rubbish. What these people are saying is not true. And then at the end of this content that I would see people posting up, it was always like, and now buy my drop shipping course.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know what? This is not good information. This is not useful information. This is get rich quick rubbish. I'm going to go on TikTok and tell people it all when I don't need to charge a course fee because I don't need money. So I'm just going to give it to people because I can. So that's what I started doing, just sharing my knowledge. And I was the first person on TikTok in the world who was actually a business person who's actually done it, who was giving everything they knew for free. So now there's loads of people that do that because they know that you can get millions of views doing that. But at the time, I was probably the first proper business person on TikTok giving knowledge for free. And I say the same thing on YouTube, by the way. Later, I did a big YouTube video, 2 hours and 26 minutes, all my business knowledge. That's now the most popular business video on YouTube in the world. right? It's 14 million views. And when I put that video up, a lot of people that do YouTube videos copied it because it did so well. But before that, people were always doing half knowledge videos. So they'd tell you something and then say, if you want to know more, join my course. So I kind of pioneered the whole, like, if you've got knowledge, give it for free and help the world that may want to follow their dreams, follow their dreams.
And with that, though, with TikTok in 2019, there were lots of essentially young people dancing, right? It wasn't even a spoken word app as much as it is now. Did part of you think, is that just from a marketing background? You're like, it's new, just try it and just test things. Or was there any deeper plan than that? Than let's just try this thing.
I've always been curious. I love marketing. That's my hobby, right? So when I hear about TikTok and all the young people are going on it, I really wanted to fix the education system in 2019. I was remembering when I was 15 years old and I left school and I hadn't been taught about money. I hadn't been taught how to sell. Everyone can sell, introvert or extrovert, it's just different systems. But I was just thinking about all the things that education hadn't given me in the 12 years I'd been in school. So when I went on TikTok, that was going through my head, like, why is this knowledge not being taught in schools? How can I fix the school system? And then it kind of dawned on me as I was playing around with TikTok and having fun on it with my kid, that actually this is where kids can learn because they're on here anyway. So why not put some stuff in here that's useful? And so I thought, instead of trying to fix the school system, which feels impossible because it's built to get people to get a job. So for the people that built it, it's working just fine. So I thought, okay, maybe I can put the knowledge in TikTok. And then that's when it kind of, the two worlds collided, my interest for this marketing thing. And like, now you're right. I was not about to do dancing and lip sync. I'm not that guy. Funnily enough, yesterday, someone asked me to lip sync and dance and I did it, but it was really awkward. And it's just not my skill. And so I thought, you know what? I'll just try it. I'll just speak to the camera. We call it talking heads in the trade, right? I did a talking head where I'm like, this is how you raise money. And I was quite shocked how many people enjoyed it. So I think it's like anything, again, like on YouTube, nearly everybody was doing 10-minute videos on YouTube until I did 2 hours and 26 minutes. Then after that, everyone's doing, 1 hour, 21 minutes and 1 hour, 51 minutes. I was the first person to do pure business knowledge for 2 hours and 26 minutes on YouTube. So I think you've got to push the boundaries of what you think these platforms are there to do, and then maybe apply your skill to that platform. Because at the end of the day, people may be listening to lip syncing. That's cool. But at some point, that makes you different. If suddenly there's someone saying, hey, do you want to figure out how to raise money to start a business? I'll show you how. Then people are like, oh, and suddenly you're different, right? You're not following the herd. I was tempted to do lip syncing songs. Don't get me wrong. It's kind of fun. But it wasn't me. I wouldn't have been the best at it. Whereas I am at business one of the best. I know everything. In 35 years of doing business, there isn't a thing I don't. So I just apply what I know to the TikTok system.
And then if we fast forward to 3 words I've got your book right here. What's your dream? And
Thank you.
Those 3 words, what's your dream? From a social point of view, because we just see you now, and I'd imagine you probably get this stopped in the street all the time, and you're your dream guy, right? When did that idea pop into your head? And was it instant where you're like, oh, I've come up with an idea, I'm just going to make a video on that? What was the process behind how we got What's Your Dream?
Well, I mean, it's quite an interesting story. It might be a bit long for the podcast today, but I'll give you the sum up. It's like, I always wanted to just help people without earning any money. That was my original thing, right? I just wanted to give knowledge. I didn't want to sell a course. I didn't want to be one of those guys. I have knowledge. I want to give it to people. And then one day on TikTok, they changed the system so that people could gift you. So I was on TikTok. I was giving someone some advice. It was actually about 2:00 in the morning. And I was just giving someone advice on TikTok. And then someone dropped a big gift on TikTok. And I didn't really know what it was because it was new. And then I closed the live and I basically made $150 something. And I thought, oh, okay, I've been helping someone for free, but then someone's dropped me a gift. So I now earn money helping people, which at the time fell against my mission, right? I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be helping people for free. Now it looks like I'm helping people to get money from gifts, which wasn't my mission. So I thought, I know, I'm going to give that gift money away. So I went to the bank and drew out the money. And then I went and got some lunch at Tesco's. And then when I was at Tesco's about to pick up a sandwich, there was a lady there filling the counter up. And I just turned to her and I said, "Hey, what's your dream? What would you love to do in life?" And it wasn't really very structured or very, very well thought out. And then she just gave me this amazing answer about an old people's home she'd like to build because her mum died alone at home. And this person I probably would have ignored. I saw her eyes light up. She told this whole incredible story, and it just kind of inspired me. I gave her £50 of the £150. I gave her £50. I would like to make a deposit to be your first customer in that old people's home in the future. And she kind of looked at me like I was mad and looking around for like, what is this? And I just really love your idea. You have to do it. I wouldn't want to die alone like you've just described. You have to do this. And she's like, "Oh, okay, thanks." And I walked out, and I didn't get the food. I made a mistake. Right. I didn't get the food because I got so excited about her idea. And I walked out, and I thought, okay, that's amazing. And I suddenly had this almost like addiction to like wanting to know more people's dreams.
But quickly, that when it first came out of your mouth with that woman in Tesco, was it just instant? It just flowed out, or had you thought about it beforehand? It was just one of those things, just came out.
I just like people, so I think it's just like, actually, interestingly, what happened next made me go back to what's your dream. So what I then did is like, oh, that's really interesting, asking someone what is their dream. But I'm a business guy. So maybe I thought to myself, maybe I should be asking like, what business would you start? What would you do? So I actually didn't get lunch in Tesco's, and I thought I saw Pizza Express across the road. So I walked into the Pizza Express, and this time I had my phone with me because I thought I didn't record that person's dream. What a shame that I didn't record it, because maybe I could put it on my social and share it with people and they could help her. So I thought, okay, this time I'm going to record these dreams. These are amazing. So I got my phone, POV, point of view, put it in front of me. And I walked into Pizza Express, and the guy that was standing behind the counter was like, hi, how you doing? Table for one, table for two? I was like, just table for one, but a question for you. What business would you start? So I actually changed the question the second time, because I thought I'm a business person. Should I make it more businessy? Yeah. And it was interesting because the guy basically gave an answer, and it was quite interesting. And then I gave him £250 this time to pay for his website and pay for his branding stuff. And this time I had it recorded, and I put the video up, and it went viral, did really well. And then for quite a while, the next 3 or 4 videos, I think I was just asking people, what business would you start? And then some people were like, I don't want to start a business. I'm not interested. And I thought, as I started asking that question, I realized that it was a bit closed-minded, just the business, because a lot of people don't realize they're in business. Like a lot of designers, artists, magicians, comedians, whatever, they actually don't realize you're in business sometimes, right? And I think, I thought, actually, I'm cutting off, I'm feeding people's limiting beliefs by asking the question, what business would you start? Because they will then give me an answer like, I don't want to start a business, I hate business. And I'm like, so what I thought instead is I'd ask a more back to my original question, which is, what's your dream? And then you allow people to also say something that could be ridiculous without sounding ridiculous.
Yeah.
In business, you feel like you've got to say something really smart. You got to say, I've got this LinkedIn idea, but it's better. It just helps people. Like, that was my pitch for Help Bank, right? So it's like, I think it's like people could just say something silly, like, I'd love to just fish all day. I love fishing. I'd love to be the best fisherman in the world. And you'd be like, all right, doesn't sound like a business, does it? But actually, to make it happen, you need a business model. So it allowed me to apply my knowledge of business modeling to people's dreams, which made it generally more open. So I stuck with what's your dream,
and also you're a marketing guy, so like it's a short sentence, it's repeatable. I didn't
think that through that. Honestly, that was not. Honestly, I never thought in a million years I could be the what's your dream brand. But I'm not McDonald's with I'm loving it. Brands, my whole life I've built brands, and brands do have taglines, right? McDonald's, I'm loving it. And they can blast that and advertise that and spend the hundreds of millions trying to own it. Like I never in a million years thought personal brand could own a catchphrase. Like, tell me anybody, apart from Arnold Schwarzenegger, who has a catchphrase. Oh, okay, now I'm thinking of another actor. But, like, there's not, all right. What's his name?
All right. All right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.
Yeah.
There's not that many.
No, but I've noticed that since like keeping an eye, you've got some content creators. So if you would think of like Joe Wicks had Lean in 15, and that was his, and then
That's like the 6-minute abs. It's a bit,
yeah, I know,
of
yeah,
a marketing label, isn't it?
yeah, you're probably
Anyway,
right. Yes,
honestly, I don't want to claim that I'm some marketing genius. And I sat down with a bit of paper and I thought, right, I'm going to come up with a tagline that's going to be global. I really didn't. I didn't. I'm not. I wasn't. I don't think anybody clever, I think, often iterates. Like Mark Zuckerberg has iterated. He had an original idea and he's just iterated it. So the original idea was, I want to hear people's stories, right? And so then I iterated based on what allowed me to get the most exciting story from that person, right? Without them closing, I don't want a business. And so it wasn't really some genius spark. It was a simple idea that I iterated over time. And bear in mind now, I probably asked that question over 30,000 times. I've done the world's largest human survey on what people's dreams are by accident, right?
Well,
so yeah.
Well, here's a question. If you've asked that question 30,000 times, are there a core fundamental kind of answers? If you guys say, what is the result of your research? Are there 3 or 4 or 5 things that you think humans gravitate towards? This wasn't where I was going with this podcast, but I think it's a hell of a lot of research you've done there.
Yeah, I mean, I have put a lot of this in my book because I think it's interesting for people to understand, but the excuses are the ones I find most interesting. So, of course, as you'd expect, a lot of people feel like they can't follow their dreams unless they get money. A lot of people they don't understand how money works, and they don't understand how much money there is in the world. And at school, they were never taught financial literacy, so they don't understand, how money operates. So, the number one excuse, generally speaking, for those that haven't gone deep on their dream and how to make it happen is money. They've watched too much Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, and they think the only way to make a business work is stand in front of someone wealthy and ask for money. So that's the first limiting belief that people have. You don't need money to start a business. It doesn't matter what business it is. You don't need money.
Right.
You might eventually need money, but you can start and often get it to a point of even profitability with no money. In fact, I've invested in 81 companies now. I've just recently invested in another company, so I'm 81 now. And I have noticed that companies that have too much money fail. And those that have very little money innovate and win.
Right. Yeah.
So it's ironic that people think money is going to solve their problem. Like WeWorks, for example, raised 21 billion. And that's why they failed. Because they didn't have to make each lease equal profit. They could get a lease, outbid someone else, have no logic to it, because they had 21 billion to spend. Like, I don't know if anyone's watched Brewster's Millions here, but like, there's just no logic to it. You have to get rid of the money as quickly as possible. And that's a mistake. And so people don't, I mean, even the business I'm building now, I've got unlimited resources, both my network unlimited resources, and personally, I've got enough money I'll never need to work again in my life. But I don't act rich when building a business. It's a big mistake, because you don't work, you don't go live. You don't bother making content. You try to outsource it to someone. You get lazy.
And I suppose also, before you scale anything, it has to work in its small model, right? It has to work lean before you. Otherwise, what's the point in making it bigger? Because it's just
even with WeWork, good case study. At the beginning, ironically, it did work, and it was a profitable business. But then, as they raised capital based on that profitable business, they built an unprofitable business. Whereas if they had no capital, they would have kept having to sign profitable locations.
Yes,
sustain it. And so, yeah.
The question I'm burning to ask you when it comes to content is, I've seen you at an event walk in with 6-7 people and a team of people. And I think what's amazing about when people see you, whether it's YouTube or TikTok, you are, as you've already mentioned, one of the most prolific creators on the planet. You're probably making more content, minutes, videos per year than 99.99% of people. So the real, and we can get as geeky and as detailed as you want here, Simon. How do you do that, right? How do you make so much content? And if you want to be specific about the team you've got around you, I'd love to hear more about that, if possible.
Yeah, so making content is a combination of things. First of all, it's like anything, like running a marathon. You've got to build up your stamina. You've got to build up your content muscle. you've got to build up your ability to execute. So if you're, how do you run a marathon? Well, if you've never run a marathon, you start by running, for 10 minutes. And then, then you watch your diet a little bit, and, you get the right clothing, and then you run 20 minutes. And then, and then you get yourself a running buddy, so you stay motivated. I think it's exactly the same with content. When I started, it was me and my phone. There was me, my phone, and a microphone, because I did podcasts. And there was me, microphone, phone, and then I hired an editor. And then it was me, microphone, phone, editor, and then I hired an assistant. And so, like, as I got better at presenting, like, I think the thing I would love people to understand is, like, you don't want to come up quickly. Everyone I've seen come up quickly, I mean, we've probably all seen very famous people on social media, then they're gone completely. What happened to them? Right? So they get hundreds of millions of views in a couple of months, and then no one ever sees them again.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if it's too early to say this, but the final boss, let's say, what's happened to the final boss?
Well,
right?
Yeah.
I think the thing is, you don't want it too quick. You want to build up to it, right? So I have built up to it, and so I built the stamina, the team, the knowledge, figured out what works, what works, try a lot of things that didn't work. I could get specific about the actual team. I think that in itself would be an interesting thing. Like, what do you need to do what I'm doing? But now, for example, everything I do is content. I'm doing live now. It's content. I'm doing content with you. I'm making notes on content as I'm talking to you. I've got an idea to release my research notes, right? So it's just, and the thing is, I'm not doing anything else. So I'm, again, one of the few people that is full-time doing content creation. I have a company, Help Bank. I've got a CEO that runs that company. I'm launching a drinks brand soon. Someone else is running that company. All I'm thinking about is how to get knowledge into the hands of people that need it, and how to help the people that have dreams get noticed and get the help they need. And I think the powerful way to do that is content.
So there we go. This is Simon Squibb. It's not over. There's some more. I'm just having a small commercial break. Not for our sponsors, because I don't have any. It's episode 1. Give me a break. But what I can do is just have a little chat with you to just say a couple of things. First of all, I've really, really enjoyed putting this series together. I'm about to tell you who episode 2's guest is in a moment. But I also want to hear from you and let me know if you enjoyed this episode. Find me on socials at Ben Hanlin. Drop me a message or a little DM or anything like that. And it'd be really nice to hear from people who are enjoying these episodes. And also, I know you hear this a lot and you're very numb to this. But if you can hit subscribe, it's all you have to do on the podcast button, and hit a like and a review, hopefully 5 stars, then it really, really will help, because as a new pod, it just gets it out into the ether, so you will. And if you know anyone that's into kind of creativity or these kind of conversations, please do feel free to share it to them. I would absolutely love you forever. My guest for next week is TikToker Niall Gray. He's the TikToker behind Catch Flights, Not Feelings. We talk about how he has changed his life through making these short little skits. And then in upcoming weeks, I've got some authors, got some comedians, as I mentioned before, got some actors. So I'll announce them as and when we go. Right, that's enough of this commercial interlude. It's not even really, because I'm not selling you anything. But here is Simon Squibb. So your main driver, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, is you wake up and your number one focus is, I'm here to make content. Is for you at the moment.
Honestly, there's no 9 to 5 either. Again, and this is the ingredient that people probably need to sustain this. There is no work-life balance. That is a lie peddled by the companies that want you to go to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, because they will tell you that balance is having evenings with your family and weekends and 2 weeks holiday a year. That is balance, is it? See, that is not balance, in my opinion. There is no work-life balance. That is a lie. That is sold to us as a lie. It is not balance. For me, balance is, I will do what I love every day, and I will bring everyone I love along for the ride. So, my son is back at 1 o'clock. Pretty sure he'll run in here and say hello, and we'll do some content together. He'll tell me about his day. I'll probably be live when he does it. Like, I'm not separating everything.
Right. So you'll
Right.
work over the weekends. You don't like, as in you don't.
It's not, but I will also just not work when I don't want to work.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm in control of my time. So if I decided today I didn't want to work, I'd just cancel this podcast. The
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's it.
not doing
I mean, I would, hopefully I would do it politely and wouldn't offend. And no, I'd
Yeah, yeah.
definitely, if you booked a studio and it's costing you any money, but I'd be considerate. But what I'm saying is, like, I think it's important to understand that if you're in control of your own day, I don't want to retire. You know, retirement is, again, another structure that says I will do everything I hate to do for 45 years so that 65, I can do what I love to do. That doesn't make any sense.
But-
right? So, yeah.
So when we look at today, say the team, you don't have to go specific, but roughly, obviously, it looks like you're in your house now. How many people have you got working on your content any given day or week?
So totally on the team is 45 people in total.
Yeah.
Do keep in mind, you know, we get more views than the BBC. So how many employees have the BBC got? I think they're at 4,000 people or something. So, you know, we are running a very tight ship for the scale that we're actually at. And so, you know, we get more views in our content than a major broadcasting corporation. And I think but a lot of those people, so it's about 7 editors, 2 full-time cameramen, 3 people helping post the content and write the copy. I've got brand managers. I have brand partnerships. So I have an account manager. I have a CTO and CEO for Helpbank. And then we have something called Startup Kit, which helps people start businesses. And that's a team of 4. So, because we're not just making content, we are actually also then helping people with their businesses. So I created content all day yesterday, and I will create content all day tomorrow. Today, I'm taking phone calls and doing podcasts.
And with this, will that content that you filmed yesterday, will it end up back on a list for you to review? Or are you happy to go, you trust your team? Because that's the bit that I think a lot of people make content. The bottleneck is that they struggle to trust other people to edit and deliver. How have you, do you have to sign stuff?
No, I think again, like I was saying earlier, you have to build up your system. So when I first started doing it, I hired a not so good editor. I didn't know what a good editor was because I'd never hired an editor before. So I had to check the editor all the time. So I thought my job was to check the editor. And then luckily, because I'm a business person first and not a content creator first, I was like, in business, normally you hire the best people to do this. So maybe I've just not got the best person, because I'm not a good editor, giving someone who's not a good editor advice on how to be better at editing. So then I spoke to a friend of mine who is a very good editor, very, very well paid for another big creator. And they gave me some advice. And then I said, well, can I hire you? Actually, instead of me getting your advice to give to my editor who's not very good, getting advice from me who's not very good, can I bring you on? And they said yes. So I think I realized that, you know, as I iterated, I thought, okay, editing isn't hard. The video, the content is what matters. And then I got an editor who wasn't great. And it turned out that editing's very important. And then I learned, but then I got someone who I think knows better than me. Why would I be interfering? Now, it doesn't mean to say that sometimes a video comes out and I have an opinion on it for various reasons. That's fine. But I have competent people that I have to trust to do the things. I'm good at communicating and I'm good at business. I'm not a good editor. So why would I be the bottleneck on something I'm not good at? It would drain me. I could do it, but would it make the content better? I'm not the best at it.
Talking about content specifically, how are you getting on at all across the team with AI? Is it getting involved in your content at all in any way?
Yeah, we've been playing around with it. I think it's quite an exciting development. I think AI will be doing editing in the future. So all of my editors are already talking about what they'll do next when AI takes over their job, because they're all good people and they've got skills. All of them are self-taught editors as well, so they can teach themselves stuff, which is very powerful. So I think right now, though, it is a bit overplayed, the AI stuff. And now this could date 1 month from now, one small update, and this will date very quickly. And I do think AI is going to keep taking leaps and bounds. we use it a little bit in voiceovers, and we use it a little bit to find content. So, for example, our Doorbell of Dreams, we can go into our archive of videos and we can type in Doorbell of Dreams, and AI will find all the videos where I've ever mentioned our Doorbell of Dreams. So from a search point of view, it's really useful. From an organizational point of view, it's really useful. From an actual video creation and editing point of view, the reason the content we do works so well is because it's got real life people in it, the people that can relate to. They're not famous people. They're me and you, you know. Well, you and I are both very famous. Maybe that's,
yes.
you know what I mean? You know, like it's just normal people. And I think AI is kind of the opposite to that. So for my content, I don't see it being a big part of our future. In fact, I think our content's going to become even more unique as more and more fake people, fake AI, fake humans are being shown on screens. People are going to want to know the real people. And they don't want to follow fake. Do you want a fake person telling you their dream and then a fake person's dream happening? That's missing soul. Again, this might date badly, and we will certainly experiment with it, especially if it ends up educating people and people are watching it. We will use it, but right now, I don't feel it. And on YouTube, for example, we were using AI for voiceover, and AI is now being penalized on YouTube. We weren't even using it extensively, just to fill gaps here and there in some of the scripts, and the videos get punished for being having AI in them, which is deemed as fake content, right? So I think that's where it might go. There'll probably be a channel for fake content and a channel for real content. I can see YouTube doing that.
Yeah. And final wrapping up question. It's a big thing I've been thinking about chatting to you, and I was like, if I can really ask you one thing, and it's about time. And you've mentioned time, and I've heard you talk about time a lot. And there's going to be a lot of people listening to this that are either, maybe they're creative, maybe they're running their own business, maybe they've got passions. And the thing I think about you is you're a creator, you're a business owner, you create more output across many different things. And the thing I always think about is, and you've alluded to it, but I just want to double down on how can people do that? And I'll give you a personal problem of mine, and I think this is really not interesting, but I think other people will relate, is there are so many projects that I would like to do that I'm passionate about. So I'm passionate. But the moment I start thinking about them, I think, God, I've got no time to do that, or that, or that, or that. And then there are people like you that are creating 10, 15, 20 times more output than everyone. Is there anything obvious that you see that you do slightly differently that a lot of people don't understand with that? Does that make sense?
This could get me cancelled. You know, this particular question, if I answered it truly what's in my head, it'll be that, everyone's got 24 hours in a day. Everybody gets cancelled for saying that, right? You've got the same 24 hours as me. I think look, it's a combination of things. A couple of ingredients that are important. First is, if you do it, does it make a big difference in the world? Matters. So if I don't make content, if I stop, which, sometimes I'm tempted to, like, I could be swimming in my swimming pool right now and like going for golf this afternoon and then the gym this evening, but instead I'm here with you, going live, right? So it's like, but I know if I don't do it, someone dies, and someone doesn't get their dream go happening. And it motivates me, because this is why nurses go to work, right? They're underpaid. They work long hours. Right now a nurse can't afford to buy a house, can't afford to rent a house. We can't afford to pay them more. It's crazy. But they've only gone on strike once in 150 years, right? Why? They don't go to work. Someone's in pain. Someone dies. So I think you have to, and it's also stages in life, right? Like, I think you've got to look at your stage in life and what can you commit to. But I find that if I'm doing something I enjoy and it has a mission beyond me, I'm like contributing to society, then I will find the time. It's like anything. If you're suddenly told you're going to get diabetes unless you go for a run tomorrow, if you go for a run tomorrow, you won't get diabetes. You will go for a run tomorrow. But if you miss the run tomorrow, you will get diabetes by the end of the day.
Yeah, and I've I see that because I've been at events where you've gone from a thing to a thing to you are constantly working and maximizing your time. But then you've invested in multiple businesses, and there's like, even with that, all the 24 hours in the world, do you have a system in your head of, well, if I'm going to take something on, I do it in a way that means I don't have to get involved in everything? Because there's so many, you've got your fingers in so many pies. How do you balance all of that, I suppose, and then still have time to do other things that you want to do? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Again, it's tricky to answer it because in some respects, you asking the question makes it sound like I've got it all figured out. And I'm still learning how this all works. I don't think I get it right all the time. I do think life is like a wobbly stool. And so, like this morning I exercised. I didn't have any meetings. I didn't make any content. I just went to the gym and I plugged in and I just exercised. And I had an idea, but that's just the way my brain is. And then I'm committed to going live all day today and, to chatting to people I promised to on their podcast like you and so on. And so I think what I'm saying is like, if I looked at what I'm doing a week from now, I'd probably get stressed. But I just look at what I've got to do today and tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and I've got a 7-day recording event there, right? So I blocked out time, and my family's not coming with me, so I'm going on my own, which means I can work 24 hours a day, right? Well, 24 hours a day. It's not, I can work 16 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
But when I come back, I have blocked out 2 days to catch up with my family.
Yeah.
And so I might work those 2 days I come back, but I don't have to work those 2 days when I come back. So I think it's giving yourself the freedom. This is my problem with people that are stuck in jobs they hate. They don't have choice, right? They get allocated 2.5 weeks a year, whatever is holiday, and that's the only time they can have off. The way the reason I love being self-employed so much is not because it's easy, it's because I can choose what I do with my time. And so I have blocked out those 2 days when I come back from this trip. And it will be my choice whether I work or not on those days, but I can spend the time with my family if they need me and I want to give them that time. But it's very likely when I come back, after a big hug from my 8-year-old, he'll want to spend the rest of the afternoon playing with one of his friends. If he wants to play with one of his friends, I'm there for him, but I will probably go live or do a bit of work, or relax or whatever, I think having choice, owning your time is the most valuable thing you have as an entrepreneur. And I think you just got to maybe, when you're talking about motivation, that's one part, like have a mission bigger than you that motivates you, and then allocate chunks of time to do things like recording days, like give yourself Monday, you are going to create content on that day. You plan for it. Maybe you hire a crew, so you've got costs, therefore you've got no choice but to do it because people are going to turn up. Like having a bit of a accountability is pretty important. All right, people sign up for gym memberships and don't go. So paying doesn't make people go. People always think if you don't pay attention. That's not true, right? You need to have an element of pain to pay attention.
Thank you for letting me absolutely pick your brains for an hour. And I think we started off with creativity, but there's so much that fits into that. If you want to be creative and create things, it's the discipline, the consistency, the passion, all of that, which has been great.
100%. And if I can ever help anyone with thinking about purpose and what your purpose might be, go buy my book. A little plug at the end.